I think right now we're probably, with most of the MRI scans that we're getting from our patients, not using 90+% of the data available. So developing algorithms, machine learning tools that would enable us to extract more data from more inferences from those data would really help a lot. Ultimately, there are possibilities with brain-machine interfaces that would just offer tremendous possible advances. I think we're just beginning to scratch the surface on applications of those approaches, but individuals who don't have the use of an arm or a leg to beginning to use their brains to instruct a robot to do things for them would change their lives, transform their lives. And again, that's an area that's going to require machine learning to take signals from the brain and extract the needed information.
I think the most exciting thing that I use technology for on a daily basis is seeing the aha moment not only in myself, the surgical team, and the patients. It's actually the most exciting is not in the operating room, it's understanding everything that was just said by our physician played out in a virtual reality scenario and getting it.
Physicians being cognizant of the tools that are available, cognizant of what has been done already, and sort of the extent that artificial intelligence, or the extent of the ability of artificial intelligence to integrate into their workflow. I think that will be the most valuable thing that physicians can bring to the table. That and ideas. Bringing ideas or bringing problems found in healthcare that are ripe for being tackled by artificial intelligence tools or algorithms, that's where I think physicians can really integrate well with or take advantage of all that artificial intelligence has to offer. Being able to come up with problems that are tedious, with problems that are taking time away, doing quote-unquote busy work, those sorts of things might be the kinds of problems that AI can tackle and really improve physician workflows.
So another aspect of most psychiatric disorders is that we don't really know what's the underlying neurobiology. So a lot of neuroimaging has been done. There's now strategies where you can use all of that neuroimaging data that's been accumulated to now see whether or not you can even have people feedback, getting that information and being able to change their own neural circuitry and therefore change part of their behavior. So neural feedback based on machine learning that can even be used on an individual level, not just on a group level, will be, I think, a very fascinating strategy.
Yeah, so specifically, I would say with the elite athletes that I work with, artificial intelligence would be useful in a number of ways. There have been a lot of wearable devices now that are used in sports and just in tracking in general. Probably the simplest one is a step counter, but moving up from that, they're used in physical therapy to monitor how patients are recovering in terms of muscle strength and range of motion. One issue that I see that I think could be helped is the prevention of overuse injuries. You know, if someone has a trauma and an accident and they fall, that's not always preventable. But with overuse injuries, that happens because there's overtraining that happens at some point along the way. But it's a problem that affects everyone from an amateur to a professional athlete. So if you think about a lot of the athletes that don't have traumatic injuries where they were hit, or the sports where you don't have a lot of physical contact, those players are usually out because they've just been doing too much training. And in tennis in particular, just because that's the sport right now that I'm most involved in, there's a very, very short off season, which is really around December. And so most of the year they're playing, and to be able to know how to structure your year to help prevent injury would be really valuable. And it's also, you're a one-man show, you can't call in a substitution for it, so you're your own best asset.
I mean, we are developing or trying to work with developers to use these techniques and assets, or whatever you want to call them, because I think they can be extremely helpful in psychiatry. What's usually most helpful if it's passively obtained information, because patients at some point don't want to, fill in even digital questionnaires. But with, the phone has a lot of passive information. how often did you make a phone call? Did you make a phone call at all? You know, what are the words you use in your text messages? Where do you go? You know, do you walk or don't you walk? And that will give us an enormous amount of information how people are doing. And it can probably in the future predict whether someone will become psychotic, or whether someone will become suicidal, or whether someone will develop a depression. So that's just the information that people have in their phones, for instance. So they don't have to do anything. We can just, you know, if we pull it out of their phones, which, you know, obviously they have to provide permission, and it has to be done legally and confidentially. But when that's taken care of, I think it can be unbelievably informative.